All right, we're live. Hello, everyone. Can you see us and hear us? I'm here with Ted Judy from Ted's Fish Room and Custom Aquariums. He's now working with Custom Aquariums. And we are here to answer your questions and just generally have a fish hangout and chat about, oops, I'm sorry, I got my sound on over here. Just chat about fish and fish keeping and our experiences and fish rooms and whatever questions you guys have. So,
hello, everybody. Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm not used to this, guys, so you'll see me glance over at the screen where I can see your comments. And if I don't make eye contact with the camera, it's nothing personal.
Oh, it's personal. All right. So, yeah, we wanted to do this live stream for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, it's just fun to hang out with you guys and be able to, like, see your comments in real time and respond to you guys. But also, I told you guys last Friday that Custom Aquariums is going to be sponsoring some display tanks for in the new fish room, and we want to talk about, you know, what the plans are for the fish room a little bit. It's still a little bit up in the air. The plans are going to probably change and more as we go on with the build, but yeah, there's so much to talk about. So Ted, I did an interview with you on my channel 2 years ago now. And I think probably a lot of my viewers might be in a different demographic than what your viewers are, possibly. So people may not know about you and what you do. Do you want to like introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Ted Judy. I've had a internet and social media presence called Ted's Fish Room for about 12 years. My experience with fish and aquariums started when I was very young. I was one of those kids who liked to go out and collect anything that was alive and throw it in a jar. My parents tolerated that. I did not come from a family of fish keepers. A lot of people who are serious hobbyists can point back to somebody behind them that kind of got them into it. But that wasn't me. I kind of got into it probably about 10 or 11 years old, back before we had other distractions and something to do, and just kind of stuck with it. Got pretty serious about fish breeding and keeping in high school. Worked in aquarium stores, owned an aquarium store for a while down in southern Indiana. Give me a shout out if anybody remembers the Fish Gallery in Bloomington, Indiana. That's a whole nother story, that place.
I'd love to hear that one.
I became a school teacher. I was a school teacher for 15 years, kind of got out of the hobby a little bit. And then 12 years ago, we moved here to Madison, Wisconsin. I quit teaching. I was a stay-at-home father and started back with a fish room again. And that's when Ted's Fish Room really got started. And if you have been watching my blog and my page and the videos, you've seen a couple different renditions of fish rooms. I am now on my third fish room here. I built one in my basement. I moved it to a warehouse about 4 years ago, and then a year ago I moved it back from the warehouse back into my basement. And all that long that time, just been making videos and writing articles and kind of promoting the aquarium hobby. I do a bit of speaking. I do a bit of writing. I just got done with about a 6-year stint writing for Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine, but that's done now. And about 4 years ago, I started working with Custom Aquariums on a consulting basis and with one of their sister companies, which is a leasing and maintenance company. And then here about 3 months ago, I started working full-time with Custom Aquariums. And so that's in a nutshell where I'm at right now.
Woohoo! What kind of fish are you keeping? I know you keep pretty much a lot of different things, but do you have any like main focuses on what kind of fish are in your fish room right now?
Oh, I always have a lot of dwarf cichlids. I have been fortunate to travel. I've been to Africa a couple times. I've been to South America a few times. My most recent trip was to Colombia. If you are watching my channel, something I should probably point out, if you want to try to find my YouTube channel, it's actually under Ted Judy, not under Ted's Fish Room. I wasn't savvy enough to get a channel on YouTube with Ted's Fish Room on it.
Well, a lot of times, like for me, when I joined YouTube, it was 7 years ago, and it was just as a place to host my videos. I never intended to be like a YouTuber per se. So I titled it, so I had a strand of pink hair and at the time in my hair that I was like really proud of because I thought it was so edgy and cool. And so I titled my channel Flash of Pink because I thought like when I'm running by, you see a little flash of pink in my hair. And it has nothing to do with fish. So luckily YouTube changed it to where you can have like a custom channel name, but still your URL is always what you originally signed up as.
Oh, well, I'll have to go look and see if I can change it to Ted's Fish Room then.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just got finished with the 17th episode of a series on that trip to Colombia. The last episode is going to be this coming Sunday, and that's 18 episodes on a 2-week trip to Colombia. Then I don't know where the project's going to go after that, but we'll still do something on YouTube, keep it going a little bit.
I want to say a quick shout out to, I'm going to butcher this name, Raj Z. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at pronunciation, but thank you for the super chat, $5. It's very nice.
You can see that I'm looking at the chat screen and things are coming across so quickly. If we're missing questions, I really apologize. I have a hard time seeing them sometimes.
Yeah, they do go by
Question: I live in Quebec. How much will the shipping cost if I donated to the fish room?
Oh, for the aquarium?
Oh, for the aquarium? I don't know. You have to talk to somebody up at the main office. The way it's going to work is it's basically a matching donation from custom aquariums towards a purchase from customaquariums.com. So if your total order came to $500, including shipping, we would just knock off the $100 off of that.
Yeah, it's a pretty awesome deal. Somebody asked me to pet my cat. So here we've got Grim. Grim is my baby boy. He's a mama's boy. And then here we got Roger. He's kind of a mama's boy too, but not as much. And then Sammy's my other cat. He's not in the room right now. He's not a mama's boy. He likes
3 cats?
3 cats, yeah.
We have a rule in my house: if it drowns, it's not a pet anymore. We don't have anything that doesn't. We don't have anything that drowns.
Anything that can't swim.
That's right.
All right. What Summer Nix wants to know what got Jenny into fish keeping. Well, that's a
good question. I was actually curious about that myself. I met you 2 years ago. I've watched your channel. I've watched a lot of the episodes on your channel, but I certainly don't remember a story of the origins of Solid Gold Aquatics or Jenny's hobby. So please tell us about that.
That's kind of a funny and slightly frustrating story for me because I actually filmed a video probably a year ago now where I explained like how I got into fish keeping, because that's a question I do get a lot. And I was going to add in all this B-roll, which means like footage over me talking, showing the things that I'm talking about, so it's more interesting to watch. And then my hard drive crashed and I lost all of my old videos and photos from back when I first started fish keeping. And I was so upset by that I never even finished that video. I was like so upset, but I still can talk about it obviously. So I grew up collecting bugs and frogs and toads and, you know, anything I could find, salamanders, whatever it is, just like you, Ted. And my mom had a daycare and I was not a lot, but I was quite a bit older than the rest of the daycare kids. So I always try to put on like little educational programs for the daycare kids with the like toads and bugs that I would catch. So I had them in the little square critter keepers with the handle on the plastic top. And I would show them off and I would do, you know, I would rent books at the library and read up about these animals and then present that information to the daycare kids. And of course they weren't that interested because they were like 5 and they didn't have any attention span. But so I've always been interested in animals, and I actually thought for the longest time I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I'm really, really squeamish, so that was definitely a no. I did work for a couple of years in animal welfare. I worked at a humane society and I loved that, but nonprofit jobs just don't, for me, it didn't pay enough to live on at the time. So I ended up moving down to Florida, and somewhere along the line, I think it was when I was in college, I started getting really into fish. And it was because I always frequented like the Petco's and the PetSmarts, and I happened to see this like cute little black moor in a tank, and I instantly was drawn to it. I think it's because, well, I always say like goldfish to me are a perfect mashup of like art and animals, which are my two biggest interests, because goldfish have been like genetically modified and bred specifically to look a certain way over hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's really like an art form at this point, but they're also living things, which is so cool. So it just made me really think it was so cute, and I decided to get goldfish. Never had much luck because there wasn't very good information about them around at the time. And it just, when I started not having very much luck, I wanted to do more research. So I did tons of research online, forums, books, whatever I could get my hands on, and realized that they're such a poorly understood animal, but they're also like the most common pet in the world, right? Goldfish is like the most common pet in the world, but nobody really knows what they're doing with them. So once I realized that, I started to make a few videos on YouTube about how to care for them, and people responded well to it, so it just kind of blew up from there. So that's how I started. I think we might have lost Ted. What happened, Ted? Anyways, I'm hoping that he's figuring out how to get back on the stream, but I can answer some questions in the meantime. Let's see. Oh, he lost his internet. Okay, he'll be back soon, but let's answer some questions. All right, how are your sick fish doing? Pudge Key wants to know. They're doing very good, actually. Just like Friday, not really any change from that video. They're doing really good. They're eating well, they look healthy, they're pretty active, their skin is really clear, so I really think that we are past this hurdle, I hope. Still crossing my fingers because you never know, but I really think that things are going to keep looking up from here. Any advice on getting rid of green algae from Amanda? Well, Amanda, it depends on what kind of green algae. If you have like green water algae, so the water looks like pea soup color, then a UV sterilizer is really what I would recommend. If you've got green algae growing on the sides, you could try getting a species. Oh, Ted's back. Hi, Ted.
Oh, I don't know why. Ghosts in the machine. I really apologize.
That's all right.
Repeat everything. Just kidding.
Well, I kept a transcript of everything. No, I'm just kidding. Lee Rodriguez has done a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Lee. Says, Jenny, you were an inspiration to Fishkeepers. Thank you. So is Ted. I'd probably have said this before, but when I was first researching into how to set up, systems for my fish room, Ted Judy's videos were like my resource that I used to learn how to do this stuff, because I mean, I'm kind of handy and can do DIY things, but everyone has to learn somewhere. So lots of good videos on his channel.
All right, I'm back. So I noticed a couple questions. I was keeping notes as I went through. Charles asked, I guess, about the Columbia, if I brought it back any Altum Angels from Columbia. No, Charles, I didn't, because I'm not really set up with water chemistry and so forth in my fish room to maintain them, and it's not really a species that is a lot of interest to me. I did enjoy collecting them. One of the reasons I went down there was to learn about the Altum Angels, which I learned quite a bit, but I didn't bring any back. And then Simon asked, what's my favorite epistogramma? And I'm really partial to the Nizini group. So epistogramma Nizini, Panduro, Benchi, that whole group of epistos I really like a lot.
That was in Colombia, you said?
That's where the Altum Angels are at, is Colombia, yeah. The epistos I like come from Peru. Cool.
Yeah, I only got a chance to watch a couple of your episodes from Colombia, but definitely my favorite parts are like the underwater shots of the fish in their natural habitats. That is so cool to see. And also you can see like the plants on the bottom, and it's always striking to see how different like a planted aquarium looks to like the actual, in the wild, because in an aquarium the plant, we try to make the plants all pretty and keep the leaves clean, and in the wild it's like there's scum all over the leaves, and but the fish don't care.
So my aquarium in my living room is very, very natural. Very heavily planted, lots of algae, Very natural.
All right, any good questions here? Let's see. Michael wants to know, what's the deal with those goldfish with the bubble cheeks? Have you ever had any? So there's bubble eye goldfish, and they have fluid sacs like protruding from underneath their eyes, and they actually like flop around when they swim. I think it's kind of cute and endearing. I don't really like it when the bubbles get so big that the fish can't really swim right, but otherwise I think they're adorable. I've never had them, but I actually want to really bad someday.
Okay, hold on. I just got an email from Adam, the owner of Custom Aquarium. So in just a sec, I'm going to respond to him.
Okay. How are your discus? Moose wants to know. They are good. I originally got 4, if you guys remember, from Uncle Sam's Discus out in California. I think, I'm not sure, but I think 2 of them may have decided to pair up. And then the smallest one is kind of like the low one on the pecking order. You can tell he kind of gets like pushed around by the other ones. And there are 3 left. Right before I left for Japan, the night before I left for Japan, one of them died, and I think it was because I did a really big water change and I took out the driftwood that was in the aquarium because I noticed it was accumulating a lot of gunk underneath it and in between the pieces of wood, which I should have known that was going to happen, because I always tell people that it's going to happen in goldfish tanks, and why should it be any different with discus tanks, you know? So I did a really big water change, and it stirred up all of the gunk, which that happens frequently in my goldfish tanks, and they never have any issue. But I guess discus are a lot less hardy than goldfish, obviously. And that one just, after that happened, he just started acting off, and then before too long he was dead. But I still have 3, and they're doing really well. I was really disappointed at first because they were so shy. They would bang into the glass the moment they saw me, but actually after taking out the driftwood, they seem more comfortable, and they even beg for food from me, just like my goldfish do. So I'm liking them a lot. Have you ever had discus, 10?
Yeah, actually, I used to breed discus back about 20 years ago. I really got into it. I was breeding angelfish and discus, and kind of selling them on the side. I like discus. I think they're a lot of fun. It's a beautiful fish. It's one of those fish, though, that I think that you kind of have to be prepared for problems, and you have to make sure that you know what to do when they have problems, because eventually sometimes they do. But that being said, discus keeping 20 years ago is a lot different than discus keeping today. We have a lot better quality stock, a lot better captive bred stock, and they're much more tolerant of variant water conditions, and we have much better filtration systems and aquarium systems than we used to. It's also much easier to make RO water, but even though it's not modern discus today, you don't really need RO water in many cases unless your water is liquid rock. 20 years ago, it was hard to find an aquarium room or an aquarist that actually had a reverse osmosis machine to make red water. Nowadays, they're so inexpensive that most people have them. I know people with 1 aquarium that'll have an RO system for a reef tank or something like that. So the availability of technology today is a lot better than it was 20 years ago.
And I was reading, I did a lot of research before I got my discus, and I was reading that a lot of them now are, well, especially the fancy colored ones and stuff, they're tank bred in water conditions that are probably with a higher pH than what they are found in the wild. Because in the wild, they're kind of like a low pH fish. Is that right?
Yeah, the habitats they come from are pretty low pH. One thing about the blackwater habitats of South America is these are really extreme conditions. Where we found Altum angelfish, the pH of the water was under 5.0, had almost no conductivity whatsoever. It was warm water. About the only way you could describe it is extreme conditions. If you saw those kind of pH crashes in your aquarium, you'd freak out. And because of that very low pH, there's almost no bacteria in the water. You'd have a hard time keeping an aquarium with a pH under 5.0 because you couldn't keep the beneficial bacteria in your filter alive. You'd have to do massive water changes all the time just to keep the aquarium from going sour with nitrogen waste. I think somebody asked me a question. There was a question that came up from Assassin Dweller. I think you asked whether or not, you asked one of us if we were going to be selling fry. I'm going to assume that question came to me. I don't know. But the question is no. I'm actually getting out of selling fish. I'd rather just donate them to aquarium clubs and aquarium events and aquarium hobbies. I do go to a lot of those types of things. My next big one, actually, I'm going to be in Vermont this weekend. I'll take some stuff to the Aquarium Club in Burlington. And then the next big event after that is the American Cichlid Association Convention, which takes place in July. And I'll take a whole lot of stuff there.
All right, I wanted to invite, we're having really good conversations and answering really interesting questions, but I want to get to, we have a couple of special guests that are going to be popping in on this live stream too. And I want to bring on our first one here. So I'm going to let her know we're ready, and then she's going to log in. So dun, dun, dun. Who's it going to be? Oh, people, I get that question about if I'm going to sell my fish too, because I do have a small, a really small batch of fry growing out right now, but I think, you know, they're not, because of the issues that I had with my fish room, don't get me wrong, I still have them, but I think they got a little stunted in growth. They could be so much bigger by now, but I had to keep them under treatments and feed them medicated food and all that. So I don't know if I'm going to be selling them or just hanging on to them. A little nervous to sell fish to people if I'm not 100% sure that they're going to be healthy and stay healthy. So I'm going to keep them until I can be sure of that. All right, our guest is here. Introduce yourself.
Maybe we should make them guess. No, hi guys, this is Cynthia from East Coast Ranchu, and
yay, hi Cynthia. And you guys, Cynthia's camera is not working, so you won't be able to see her, but you'll be able to hear her lovely voice.
yes, and if you hear cats and dogs barking in the background, you know, it's just all my collection.
Yeah, and you're a cat lover too, just like me, right?
Oh my God, yes. If the neighbor's cat, I will bring it home.
Oh.
Dangerous to leave your cat outside. I'll bring it. I actually have 8 rescue cats right now. A few of them we're fostering, so hopefully we can find homes for them. But yeah, I
love that. That's so nice.
Cynthia, it's nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Finally, you've been doing cat rescue?
It's not really like an official. It's just, you know, you come home from work, you see a cat that's been run over and it's still alive. I just bring it home.
Bless you.
But it's so cool to finally meet you. I've always wanted to meet you, so really, really cool.
Well, thank you very much. Jenny was telling me that, well, Cynthia of East Coast Ranchu, so you're obviously into goldfish.
Oh my gosh, that's an understatement, and she has the most beautiful goldfish you've ever seen.
Thank you.
Your Instagram is like goldfish heaven.
So are you specialize in Ranchu? Is that what you're into, or is it just into everything like Jenny is kind of? Well, actually, Jenny kind of specializes too, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I actually just I started with Oranda, and then I moved on to Ranchu, and back to Oranda, but now I'm doing both. It's one of those hobbies that kind of just like, you know, you think, oh, okay, gonna do this hobby, and then it explodes, and 1 minute you have 2-3 fish, and then next minute you got 500. So, but that's it. The whole East Coast Ranchu thing, I really didn't see it like this far. I only, you know, when I started it, I thought maybe, you know, I'll just like sell what I had then, but they just kept breeding, and now we're here.
Yeah, and you even have to like, you have so many fish that you even have to sell them when they're like little babies, right? You do like the Ranchu baby starter kits.
Yes, I do that just because, you know what, so many years later, I still have a hard time euthanizing fish. I really do. It's difficult for me. I look at the babies and I'm thinking like someone's gonna want these or take care of them.
Yeah. And
you know, I'm not like one of those hardcore breeders where, no, I'm gonna call this down to super grade A. Like I'm not that way. I just, if I can find homes for all the fish, I would do that. So
That's cool.
Yes.
Cynthia, I wanted to ask you about, I think you're a really good person to talk on this issue because you have so much experience with fish health and how to keep them healthy and diseases and what medications to use when and all of that stuff. There were some questions about why I had to throw everything away, and I could answer it, but I think you could answer it way better than I could. So by everything, I mean I had some sponge filters that I had for a few years, and 3 of my blue Intex pools, which are like $50 each, and then a few, ragtag random assortment of things that I had to throw away because I was concerned about reintroducing the disease that I got rid of now that they went through treatment. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I noticed that a lot of people question that. And here's the thing, when you have massive die-off, it means that something has to change, right? Like you've reached a critical point. So getting rid of the sponge filters, actually, I always tell, even on my website, on the support pages, I tell people every 6 months, change the sponge filters. When you have a massive die-off like that, for example, where you got hit by a parasite this extreme, some of those parasites, they're still in the sponge filter. No matter if you sterilize them, some ciliates will survive drying, some will survive high heat, right? So you just want to
right, they can survive bleach sometimes.
Yeah, even the bleach, remember we were talking about Virkon, which is a better disinfectant, so so I mean, how much is a sponge filter anyway, right? It's like what, $6 for the regular ones, and then the port filters, even though they're really good quality, we're talking about the ciliates that's still in there. They're still there. They're populating in there. They're breeding in there. Get rid of it. There's nothing, you don't want to compromise the rest of your livestock. So throw that out.
And I thought, what, going through this now is so terrible that I don't want to get my fish all cleaned up, get them healthy again, and then maybe on the off chance that I didn't sterilize a certain corner of the sponge filter well enough, that I would reintroduce everything and have to go through the whole thing again. It's just not worth the risk.
If you think about
one thing, I hear what you're saying, and I agree, especially when you're talking about thousands of dollars worth of fish, and especially when you're talking about expensive livestock.
Yes.
It's usually better just to start over. I will make one point about the Puree foam, simply because I really love the stuff. Puree foam is a different chemical composition than other types of foam that's out there in the market. One thing you can do to Puree foam, you can't do to the other stuff, is you can clean it with a very strong muriatic acid solution. You can actually throw in like 1 cup of muriatic acid and about 2 gallons of water. You wouldn't want to put your hand in that. And when you throw the sponge filter to sink it into it, it'll clean it out pretty quickly. And I'd be hard pressed for any protozoan to survive that. But by all means, it depends upon what you're comfortable with. And if you're more comfortable getting rid of the filtration and starting over fresh, by all means do it. But for those that can't do that, Puree can take some pretty harsh acidic environments.
And I only give advice to, so if I've gone through all of this stuff, it's happened to me before too. So, I have a mentor. His name is Dave Manley, and this is the same advice that he told me. Cynthia,
Dave has been in the goldfish hobby for how many years now too? He knows so much. It's unbelievable.
God to me. Okay, so I don't know. He's like what, 40 years in the hobby, maybe.
Wow.
But, Dave Manley is my mentor, and many years ago, I purchased some ranchus from an importer, and I had 2,000 goldfish, and I had 11-year-old goldfish, 7-year-olds, and they were all wiped out. And the first thing Dave told me, Cynthia, get rid of all these filters. Just throw them out. Don't worry about it. Start over. Nuke your tanks. And when he says nuke, we're not talking about just simple bleach or hot water. I had to get the best, you know, disinfectant out there. I did mention this. It's Vircon. So I had to, and then dry them all out. I waited like maybe a month before I could use, but simple stuff that, you know, that can be easily replaced. Sponge filters, get rid of that stuff. All the, you know, the media. When I'm talking about the sponges, okay, these are the, you know, the hydro sponges. They're like $6, right? And yeah, they're the cheap ones. And I would start over like every 6 months. I replace them, even though, and the way to replace them, because some people are worried about losing nitrifying bacteria, but the way you do it is you want to put the new filter right next to the old filter. You know, if you want to see that, let's say nothing's going on, there's nothing wrong with the tank, but it's 6 months later, throw out the old filter. But right before that, let's say 2 weeks before you're planning to throw it out, put a new filter right next to it so it seeds that with nitrifying bacteria, and then you're good. And then wait another 6 months. But this is just, you know, to maintain a healthy environment for your fish. There's nothing, you know, it's $6, that's it. But if you hold on to that until it's like all worn out, it just keeps absorbing, you know, the nasties in there, right? And that's where I stand on that. So
This is a good segue. Pardon me, Jenny. Sorry, it's a good segue because one of the things we're talking about is Jenny starting with her new project. We actually had a question from Lauren about when the new fish room is going to get started. And Jenny, I just sent you a text a few minutes ago. I don't know if you saw it or not, but
No, I didn't.
I mentioned a few minutes ago I got a text from Adam Keller. He's the owner of Custom Aquariums. And one thing that we were talking about, and I want to talk about what Jenny's project is. First, she just read the text.
Yeah, I'm like, what? My eyes are popping out. Oh my god.
So, you know, about a week ago, actually a little longer than a week ago, when Jenny first started having these problems, I was talking to her about her fish, and when she decided to tear her fish room down, we at Custom Aquarium said, what can we do to help Jenny? And Jenny was asking about telling me what she was planning on do. She was kind of, sorry to put you on the spot here, Jenny, but she was kind of ropes in. She was actually saying, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, if I can do this anymore. How do I find it? How do I get this? How can I raise the money? And I said, well, we can't give you any money, Jenny, but we can help. We can certainly help by providing some aquariums and so forth. And that's what Custom Aquariums is committed to do.
It's so awesome. It takes a huge weight off my shoulders.
Well, you're welcome. And
Thank you.
a lot of people are also aware that we are doing some stuff with Joey Mullen from King of DIY as well. But I want to point out, I really want to make a specific point. Custom Aquariums is committed to helping advance the aquarium hobby. And we feel that people like Jenny and Cynthia and Joey and individual people who are looking at this streamcast right now, we are all part of this hobby, and we all advance it just by participating. So we have an opportunity to help out. We try to help out.
Yeah.
So we are. We started a fundraiser, help Jenny with fundraiser, where we were going to match donations over $100 up to $500 towards the purchase of an aquarium from customaquariums.com. Now, we're a custom aquarium company. We built some pretty big tanks. I know they can be expensive. So I also know that not many of you, or not everybody, is going to be able to donate that much money to Jenny. So what Adam just did, and we're going to start this in just a sec, is he has offered to match cash donations on small donations to Jenny. So if you want to donate up to $20, so any donation $20 and under for the next 15 minutes, if you can get on, Jenny, I don't know if you can show where your link is, or if they want to donate through the live chat.
There should be a link at the top corner of this video, you guys. What was that?
So what Adam said was, if anybody would like to make a donation right now to Jenny for the rebuild of her fish room, and what we'll do for the next 15 minutes while this is happening, we'll talk about the new fish room, what she's going to do. She'll tell you about the overall changes to the room she's going to do, and then I'll talk about what Custom Aquariums is going to do for Jenny as far as the equipment that we're going to be able to provide. And if you can make a donation in the next 15 minutes, Adam will make a cash donation to Jenny for the same amount. So we can raise a couple $100 in the next 15 minutes. Then Adam is going to send some money to Jenny to help her out with her fish room as well. Sound good?
That is so awesome. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Custom Aquariums. Thank you, Ted. You guys are awesome. And thank you, all my viewers, too, for so much support.
I have a question for you, Jenny. Somebody asked, what if they wanted to donate materials to building?
You know, I've been thinking about that actually, because a couple people have sent me emails about that, and I could do like an Amazon wish list.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have to work pretty closely with my contractor about because he has to tell me what items I'm going to need for the fish room for me to be able to put them on the wish list. So I'll bring it up to him and see. I mean, some of these items are going to be pretty. I mean, some of these items are pretty expensive. I'm going to be honest. Like the AC unit that I'm going to need for the size space that I have, it's a 23 by 20 foot building. It's going to need to be 2.5 ton AC unit, which is, I mean, you can Google the cost of that if you don't know. It's pretty expensive. So I don't know if I want to put things like that on an Amazon wish list, but there could be other things too. Like I'm going to add a couple windows. I'm sure you can put windows on an Amazon wish list.
I can donate 1 kidney.
Awesome. I'm going to do that. But
how about things like linear piston air pumps? I mean, you have a linear piston?
I have 2 actually.
Okay. Doesn't need a linear piston.
Like little, things like that. Like I just bought some more airline tubing, but things like that I could certainly put on an Amazon wish list. I will put some thought into that.
Let's look at the questions. Like I think we missed out on a bunch of questions.
Yeah, I saw a little while back that Joey Mullen's in the house, King of DIY, saying hi. Hey, Joey.
Hi, Joey.
And let's try to answer some questions too. I feel bad. We're having such a good conversation that we can't even get to all these questions.
Yeah. I don't want people to feel left out.
I know. This is for them anyways.
So, tell you what, I'll look through the questions. I'll go back and look. Jenny, if you want to fill in some time, tell us where you're at with your contractor.
Okay. Oh, we just got a $5 super chat. So
from Australia.
Hello from Australia. What's your advice on finding good breeders? As far as goldfish goes, the way I do it usually is looking on Goldfish Keepers forum. I'm happy to give them a shout out and a plug because they have such good information there, and I've learned a lot from them. So definitely check them out. There's a lot of good breeders that kind of, even if they don't post, they lurk on there. So if you start a thread asking, people will usually message you back. And then you can search online too, but I would look closely at reviews if there are any reviews available.
Yeah.
Another super chat, $10, says all the best, well done, smiley face, thank you. All right, so I wanted to, we got one more guest to get to too, but I want to fill you guys in a little bit on the plan for my fish room. I actually stayed up all night last night and slept this morning trying to put into words what I'm trying to do, because I think I have been a little bit vague, but it's because I don't really know, I don't do construction projects. I really don't know how everything's going to come together and what each portion of the project is going to cost. But here's what I do know. The building needs to be insulated, so that means adding insulation to the walls, but it also means sealing up any holes that are in the building. So for example, there's a big exhaust fan cut into the wall that I'm not going to need in the new fish room design, so that has to come out in the wall, be patched. I mean, all these things seem small, but they add up. The costs add up, especially the insulation itself is going to be probably one of the biggest expenses, just buying that foam. The roll-up door has to be removed too. It's not like a garage door that goes up and then kind of sits along the ceiling. It rolls up like a fruit roll-up, and it has these grooves in it that are just impossible to insulate. So that has to go. Actually learned that from Ted. And I'm going to replace it with French doors that are still going to open wide enough to get big tanks in and out. Sorry, I'm trying to go really fast, but also be informative. Temperature control also goes hand in hand with insulation. So you have to insulate it and then put in some systems to maintain temperature. Like I said already, the AC unit's going to have to go in. I think a simple space heater will be fine. It's only Florida, so it does get cold, but not really cold. And then a dehumidifier to help keep the humidity in check. Of course, the AC is going to help with that as well. Running water, we need running water out there. It's basically a glorified shed right now. It's a thin-walled metal building on a concrete slab, and that's it. So need to run a water line from my main water hookup in the front yard all the way to the backyard, you know, around the house, around the septic field. It's going to be pretty involved. And once that's done, I can add a water heater out there so I can actually control the temperature of the water going in the tanks, which definitely needed. And the utility sink. There's other things as well that I almost classify more as wants than needs, like finishing the floor. But my rationale is I don't really want to put all that work into the rest of the building and then have a stained, oily floor. So I'm going to finish the floor, put in a couple windows. What else? Automatic water change system is a must for the amount of tanks that I'm talking about having out here. So just for these things alone, a rough estimate of the cost, and this is really rough estimate, it's going to be $25,000. And when I heard that estimate, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like so much money, which it is. It really is. But construction projects are so expensive. I mean, you touch one of these things on this list and it's easily thousands of dollars. So it is what it is. But the reason I'm doing this is because it's not because, you know, I want to turn this into like a retail space where I'm, you know, selling things out of it. From the beginning, being on YouTube, my whole reason for doing this was to produce free informational and entertaining video content for you guys and find new meaningful ways every day to connect with you guys through my videos. And this is really going to help me be able to keep doing that without having to pause, you know, for years and save up enough money to actually do this. So I'm pretty excited about the possibilities. I hope that answers some questions.
I think so. We had a couple questions pop through while you were talking. One of them was, Yummy Star asked about canister filters, because we were talking about canister filters. She says she doesn't, or he or she, I'm not sure, sorry, said that you don't use canister filters, but you want to know if they're good. You know, canister filters are like any other filtration. I think they have their uses and they have their places. Canister filters are pretty good. A lot of filtration in a relatively small tank because you can put a big canister filter in a cabinet. The challenges to canister filters, just like for any other filter system, is that it's all based upon the media that goes in it. So you can use chemical media, biomedia, mechanical filtration, and you can make that filter just about what you want it to be. The big disadvantage to canister filters is that you're creating all those things that Cynthia was talking about, kind of building up in your filter, are building up in this one little small space with all the water tank kind of running through it. So the biggest challenge, or I say the biggest mistake that people make with canister filters is not servicing them frequently enough.
Exactly.
Cleaning that media, cleaning out the muck, cleaning the mechanical filters, changing the chemical filters, chemical media, pardon me, the carbon if you're going to use it, or some other type of chemical media. Sometimes people get that canister filter going under that tank and they kind of forget about it. And it really needs servicing as often as any other filter does. Then so they can be a little more pain in the butt to clean a canister filter, but it needs to happen just as often. I like canister filters for kind of standalone display tanks in my living room or someplace like that. That's where I use them. Especially if I don't have a drilled aquarium where I can use a sump system. I prefer sump systems more than canisters, but if I don't have a drilled tank, I'll use a canister.
Sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind with filtration.
Yeah, my living room aquarium is not out of sight, it's not out of mind, and yet I still don't clean it.
Yeah. And
We got a couple, sorry, Cynthia, we got a couple super chats I want to shout out. We got Sarah Jane, $5, says, "You're amazing, wish you all the best." Thank you, Sarah. We've got Cleva Girl, I think your video, oh, Cleva Girl, I get it. I think your videos are great, so informative, and I wish the best for your fish room. Thank you. I think that's all. Please tell me if I missed any. Go ahead, Cynthia. Sorry I cut you off.
I was just gonna say, I mean, people ask me about canisters too, so I would say that, you know, if you're going to use canisters, it has to fit your lifestyle. It depends on you as a fish keeper. You know, if you are super busy, if you got that kind of, you know, very, very busy lifestyle, you don't have time to clean your filters, you shouldn't have a canister. I would recommend an HOB over that, just because the HOB is easier to maintain. And that's my thought on canisters, especially with when you forget, like even if you don't rinse that for a week, let's say you are feeding your fish a lot of bloodworms, right? And gel food, all that organic mom collecting in the filter, even just 1 week. Once it gets clogged, you're creating an anaerobic environment, which is now haven to protozoans, you know, bacteria. And so if you don't have time, if it doesn't fit your lifestyle, change it to something that's easier to maintain, you know.
I'm getting anxiety. I think I have to go clean my sponge filter or my canister filter. I'm ending the live stream, guys. Bye.
So Jenny told us about what she's going to do in the room. So let me tell you a little bit about what Custom Aquariums is thinking for Jenny. Now, Jenny and I have not had a lot of conversations about exactly what she wants as filtration and so forth, but talking with her about what she wants to happen in her rooms, we have a stackable aquarium system that has a very nice frame, but very, very minimalist framing system that can go under any size aquarium she wants. So she hasn't really talked yet about what size aquarium she wants. If you've watched the King of DIY videos, he's doing 120-gallon aquariums, one on top of each other on these relatively minimalist but very strong frames with filtration underneath. So I imagine for what Jenny is talking about wanting to do out in her fish room, it'll be something along those lines, maybe some smaller aquariums, maybe because it's goldfish, some flatter tanks, I don't know. We even talked about possibly doing something out in the middle of her room, kind of like a raised pond, like a rimless flat cube tank or something that she can kind of show off her great goldfish. I happen to believe that goldfish should be seen from above. I'd like to see them from the top.
I like
so something like that.
Yeah.
And then Jenny asked that she said that one, and this was actually before Jenny's catastrophe. She said that one of the things she's always wanted was a nice display tank right behind where she's sitting right now, so that when she's giving these videos, she's going to be able to show off some goldfish and be in front of the tank, even though those three-dimensional sculptures behind you are beautiful, and they don't need to be fed, and they don't have to have sponge filters. So those are great too.
Yeah.
So really, what a custom aquarium is going to do for Jenny, we're going to do whatever Jenny needs and what she wants to make her fish room something that will continue to be something to inspire her to do stuff with fish and to continue to produce good content and educate everybody and keep everybody really into fish. And then Adam said to me the other day, he said, hey, you know, when we put our because we're building a new fish room up at Custom Aquariums too, a whole new showroom, just one of those tanks really ought to be a goldfish tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It should be.
Ted, I have a question. Do you guys work with acrylic as well?
Not at all. We are committed to glass. We think that there's a lot of advantages to glass over acrylic, especially long term. Our brand name for our tanks is Lifetime Aquariums, and as long as they are racked correctly and standed correctly, we actually guarantee our aquariums for life. We wouldn't do that with an acrylic tank. You know, the people who like acrylic, and you look at the pros and cons of acrylic, everyone kind of has their particular tastes. For me personally, the biggest advantage of acrylic over glass is weight. So when you're talking about moving that tank from the truck or from the curb or from the store into your home and getting it up on the stand, the weight of that aquarium or that acrylic tank is a definitely advantage. Once you put that acrylic tank on a stand and you fill it full of water, it's the weight of the tank overall that you have to accommodate for. So I kind of look at it as if I have to get 3 or 4 friends together to pick a big glass tank up and move it, I can do that once and get it in place, and then have all the advantages of glass. So I prefer glass.
Well, most of my tanks are glass. So.
All right. I think we're going to try to move on to our next guest, who's been very patiently waiting. So, Cynthia, do you want to let people know where they can follow you on Instagram or wherever else they can find you online?
really East Coast Rancher. That's it. And thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Cynthia.
Cynthia. It was nice meeting you.
It's nice meeting you. Good luck with everything. I really hope it all works out. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, so let's try to answer just a few quick questions before we move on to the next guest. I saw a little while back somebody wanted to send me a couple of fish when the fish room is ready. I really appreciate the thought, first of all, I really do. I usually don't accept fish or other animals from people. I did one time with my axolotls, but that was a special exception. But I don't think it's an offer that I can accept right now, but I really do appreciate it.
Can I answer a question real quick? Because it just came up. KP Aquariums asked about what about the seams in a glass tank over a long period of time. That's why we don't use clear silicone. The silicone that we use is a black silicone that is 5 times stronger than the industry average clear silicone, which doesn't stay clear anyway. The black silicone, one, being much stronger and doesn't stain, that's not going to wear out for the lifetime of the aquarium.
It looks so much better too with the nice slick black edges, and the lines are so sharp. Like,
I like it.
you guys definitely have to go check out Joey's video where he filmed the entire process of how the custom aquariums are made, and you can see people.
Yeah, so
Everyone.
So I've been asking for 4 years to actually film how these tanks are seamed, and Adam has always gone, no, we don't want to show people that. And I'm like, I don't know, it's really not that big a deal. No, you can't show that. And then Joey shows up in the warehouse and he goes, okay, we're gonna let Joey film this. Like,
You're like, really? Really?
Okay.
No, it's a good thing. I was scared when the huge sheet of glass fell, because it fell, and then after it fell, Joey explained, no, it's okay though, because it's like the what's that called? Air hockey. The table's like an air hockey table kind of, and so, but yeah, I almost had a
and it hits it perfectly flat. You know, when you drop glass, if you drop it on a hard surface, typically it doesn't land perfectly flat, and then it's going to fracture. And this is also pretty thick glass. Come up, Jenny, and someday we'll get Jenny up here to see the process too. And one of our little traditions is to try to convince our guests to actually push the glass over to make the drop.
I'll do it. All right. Any other good questions? Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. It's really hard to get to all of them, but we're doing our best.
One thing, Adam texted me a few minutes ago and said that we can extend the time period. So we're going to extend the matching donation time period until Central Time 7:15, so Eastern Time 8:15. So that's about another 20 minutes, and then we're going to cut it off. So again, if you just joined us, Adam Keller from CustomAquariums.com has offered to match any small donation to Jenny's project up to $20. You donate money, he's going to match the same amount of money in cash to Jenny to help her finish her room. So please donate.
Your donation will go twice as far, which is so awesome. So exciting. All right, let's move on to our next guest. I'm going to let him know that we're ready. Okay, where's my text thingy? All right, he should be joining us any minute now, I hope. Okay, someone's asking, what is the cause of different algae? I get brown and green in my tank sometimes. Irritating. I feel you. It's so irritating. You know, Ted probably has a good perspective on this too, but what I've heard and somewhat experienced myself is that usually the brown algae is, a bloom of it will happen when you're cycling a new tank. And some people say that it's also related to how many silicates you have in the water. What's your thoughts on that, Ted?
Brown algae is often diatomaceous. It's kind of a special classification of creature that's kind of protist kind of algae. Some are photosynthetic, some are not. Brown algae tend not to be filamentous. They tend not to create big, thick growths. There actually are a lot of fish that specialize in brown algae, like Autosynclus. So if you've got a tank that Autosynclus can live in, that's a great way to get rid of brown algae. A lot of shrimp will eat brown algae. One disadvantage of brown algae is that turning the lights off is probably not going to get rid of them. Green algae, on the other hand, are more associated with light and light spectrum. An interesting thing about green algae is that it has a slightly different photospectrum requirement than green plants do. So sometimes a cause of green algae is an improper spectrum of light than green plants have, or old bulbs, especially if you're using fluorescent bulbs like T5s or power compacts or things like that. It could simply be a matter of time to change your bulbs. As far as it being irritating, yeah, but I want you to know we all get algae. I mean, you see these beautiful tanks on the internet, and you talk to the greatest aquascapers in the world and the greatest plant people in the world, and you sit down with them and you say, let's talk about algae, and they go, oh my God, algae. They hate it too. They get it all the time. So algae is not something that only you are having issues with. Maybe, well, no, I'm not going to do it. I could take you downstairs and show you my tank in my living room, which is just a big algified mess. And I can tell you why. Because I haven't changed my canister filter media, so I have a lot of problems with nitrates right now. And then the light is not that great. So that's my problems and not doing enough maintenance on the tank. You keep up with water change, have good lights, and make sure that your chemical, especially your chemical media, like if you're using any kind of carbon or anything like that, making sure that's changed on a regular basis will help keep the green algae down.
Having some trouble getting our new guest on, but Ted, can you also, so if people are having issues with algae, are there specific fish that they can add to their aquarium to take care of that? Of course, it's going to depend on what kind of fish they're keeping in general. Like you can't mix certain species, but for like a tropical community tank, what would be the best fish or snail to take care of algae?
I'm not a big fan of snails because they're slow. You have to have a lot of snails to really do a big job on algae. Probably one of the best algae eating fish is the true Siamese algae, or the Crossichylis species. And there's actually another Crossichylis which is available to some importers now. I believe it's Crossichylis reticulatus, or the reticulated Siamese algae eater. It doesn't get as big as the regular Crossichylis, and it apparently does a really good job on algae all the time. Crossichylis, I think it's Cernamensis. I forget the exact species name, but the normal Siamese algae eater you can buy in a store, not a flying fox, a Siamese algae eater, they tend to stop eating algae when they get about 5 or 6 inches long. But the little Crossichylis reticulatus, the reticulated one, they only get about 4 inches, and apparently they eat all kinds of algae, including brush algae, beard algae, green algae. And they do it for their entire lifespan, not just for the younger parts. Hi, Joey. How are you?
Hi, Joey. Oh, we can't hear him.
I'm here. I'm just trying to figure this out.
All right, Daryl Dimer, $20 super chat. Thank you, Daryl. He says good luck with the build.
All right, I'm here now. It's working.
Welcome to our live chat.
What's up,
So,
guys?
live chat today earlier too, right?
What's that?
You did your live chat earlier today too, right?
Yeah, I was on live earlier. A little tired today. Had a busy day. Got lots done, but I'm excited to be here. I'm always willing to talk fish, so whatever you guys want to do.
What are the boxes behind you, or is that a secret?
Body parts.
Oh, okay.
No, it's this here.
Yeah.
Equipment. A company sent some equipment, so it's just stacked there until I unbox it, really.
Awesome. All right. Well, Joey, you are in the process of building your own fish room right now. So when considering how I want to set up mine, I was wondering if you had, maybe it's a little soon for this, but if you had any things that you did that you would recommend somebody else did differently, or that you did that you really like and you'd recommend that somebody else do the same way.
No, I got no advice. It's it's an interesting situation. I've never done something like this before, so it's a lot to do by yourself and all at once. The one thing I'm noticing is that since I'm doing it so quickly, since I have a schedule to stick to with weekly videos and whatnot, I find myself not enjoying the build process as I typically would because I'm more so concentrated and focused on sticking to a time schedule and getting everything done. So it's a little overwhelming at the same time, you see, because, you know, I'm not just building a 2,000-gallon aquarium, which is a massive undertaking in itself. I'm also building an entire building and ensuring it functions properly with, you know, air management and heating and water. And then, of course, you know, racking systems at 375. And, you know, at some point, I'll even consider stocking them, you know. So one of the things for me is I probably should have slowed down a little bit, but my excitement doesn't allow me to.
That's something I was like, oh my gosh, she's doing everything so fast. I kind of want to, I kind of a little slower than that, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to kill myself.
So, you know, I've built 7 fish rooms, everything from large wholesale operations to large retail operations, small retail operations to hobby fish rooms in my basement. And one thing I can tell you that is the common factor amongst all of them. When you are done, when it's completely finished and you're putting fish in the tanks, you're going to start making lists of what you wish you did differently. Mm-hmm. And then it starts planning your next fish room. That's the way it works.
Then by the time you're done with the first one, you're ready to start your next one because you know what's not.
No, you're actually pretty sick of it, but it'll last for a while until you have an opportunity to move it or do something different. But I've never talked to anybody who has built a fish room that feels when they're done with it that they have a perfect fish room. There are so many different things you can do, and it's so hard to plan for all the contingencies. I think that what Joey's doing with all the different things he's into and the different types of fish he's into, you're looking at kind of a real generalist aspect, being able to do as many different things in your fish room as possible. A retail fish room or a wholesale fish room can be completely different. All you're really trying to do is maintain fish for long enough to get those fish out of the door. A hobbyist or a breeder fish room is going to be set up even more differently than that. And if that hobbyist or breeder is going to be specializing in just dwarf cichlids or just softwater fish, they may set up something even different than that. So knowing what you want at the very beginning helps to decide the kind of fish room you want to build and the systems you want to use. But at the same time, if you're like me, I'm interested in so many different things that after I've had a fish room for 6 months to a year, I'm looking around going, oh, I wish I'd done this differently because it would have helped me keep this fish better. Or, I really want to get into these kind of fish now, but now my tanks are too big. One of the things I've always done is built my fish rooms in components, small racks, not big racks. Racks where I can relocate them around the room. Racks where if I want to pull 2 small sections out and put 2 big tanks in, I can do that without having to rebuild the entire room. And that's kind of the way I've even built retail outfits. Instead of having one big, huge, long rack that spans the expanse of the room, build it in sections so you can change things more easily down the road.
One of the biggest things I'll be honest here that I'm struggling with is not necessarily struggling with is it's one thing to build a fish room because fish rooms are all about practicality and functionality as well as attaining your end goal. With a gallery, however, all of that goes out the window. What you need is something that is, of course, functional and practical, but at the same time, it has to be extremely presentable. And what I'm finding is that since I'm sharing every step of the process along the lines here, you know, and you know, no less than 100,000 people tuning into every episode, some happy, some judging every aspect that you do, it adds to the stress, it adds to the pressure. But, you know, what I'm finding is the most difficult thing is to, you know, because I'm a do-it-yourself fish keeper, I can build tanks, make them hold water. I can build all kinds of things. I'm not a craftsman, though. I'm not going to make it look pretty. I'm going to slap it together with some duct tape if I can, you know, and all I needed to do was work and you know, sufficiently support my fish. But a gallery was a new challenge for me. And, you know, secretly, I'm always trying to challenge myself. And I got to admit that building a fish room and setting up something functional like a breeding system was far more easier for me than attempting a gallery. And, you know, being so blatant to call it a gallery in front of so many people. And for them to, it's hard to give somebody to envision the end goal. I think what Jenny's doing with giving ideas of what her end goal will be and what things will look like is a good idea, because I didn't really do that. I kind of gave descriptions and some ideas of, you know, tank placement and whatnot, but I have an end vision, and you know, that's what I'm most excited about. And the pressure along the lines of, you know, trying to keep up and making sure people are following along with me and understanding what we're doing here, you know, is probably the hardest thing to do. But again, I think the biggest thing you could do is truly just take your time and plan out as much as you can. Even though you plan it out, there's going to be problems. You're going to change your mind 100 times. I changed my mind in the middle of building things. Like, I don't want to do this no more. And, you know, drop kick it out the door. You know, so maybe you'll be the same, but take your time, plan it out properly, and things are going to cost you a lot more than you might think. So hopefully your fundraiser here is successful and it could take some of that financial stress off. And
well,
yeah,
thank you. I really I think that's why I had such a hard time putting my, you know, I wanted to draw out a sketch of how it was going to look and all that, but I really don't know. I mean, so much of it is going to happen as I'm building it, because I really want it to be flexible and be open to changing the plan as I put things in the space and realize, okay, that's bigger than I thought it was going to be in there, or that doesn't fit there really well. So I can give like general ideas of what I want to accomplish, and that's what I will accomplish, but I don't know exactly how it's going to look down to every last detail yet. So.
Yeah, and then, you know, that's not ultimately the most important aspect. Just keep your vision and stay true to your heart and why you do it. It's very easy to get sidetracked and to be allured into different aspects of certain things. I know that I'm constantly, you know, feeling different ways about what I do, but at the end of the day, just, you know, follow your heart, and the end result will be exactly what everybody expects it to be. And for those that don't understand, it never will. So, but I think what you're doing is interesting, to say the very least, and I'm excited to see what you come up with. But that said, if you feel as though you're competing with me, you are going to lose. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I think you two should have an arms race. You know, bigger, better, and faster.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, goldfish win every time, though. You should know this by now.
I think a lot of really appreciate some goldfish.
I think we're losing Ted. I don't know.
Or he turned into a robot.
Well, I want to say thanks to Hustle Woman for the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Also, I just got notified that I have a $200 anonymous cat donation from one of my viewers who happens to be of the feline variety. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. So we have about 7 more minutes on the matching. So if you guys are going to make a donation, please do it quick so Adam can match it for Jenny.
Tell Adam I already donated. You can match it.
Yeah, come on.
Or start sending him obscene messages.
Oh man. Oh, someone wants a remix of Ted's robot voice.
That was intense.
Lasted for like 3 minutes.
Yeah. He's like beatboxing.
Thanks for the entertainment, Ted.
Oh, really? Well, am I breaking in and out? Is that the problem?
No, just for a moment. It was like very computerized. I don't know. It wasn't that funny. I think that Jenny and I live very lonely lives and find these things funny.
We're like, oh my God, something funny finally happened. Okay.
We talk to cameras too much.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
All right, somebody asked a question. I'm trying to find. Oh, a little while ago, somebody asked, what do you recommend, East Coast Ranchu or Dandy Randas? Which, you guys, there's no choice that you have to make. You can get fish from both places. I recommend getting fish from both places. Always quarantine when you're getting any new fish from anywhere. But they also sell different things. You know, Dandy Randas is importing these adult, high quality, beautiful goldfish of all kinds of different varieties. And East Coast Ranchu is breeding them here in the United States, and she focuses on a few different varieties specifically and really does a good job on those specific varieties. So it depends on what you're looking for, but you don't have to choose one or the other. Absolutely not. I definitely, you guys know I've gotten most of my fish from Dandy Randas in the past, and I probably will continue to do that, but I definitely want to get some East Coast Ranchus and Arandas in the future when I add some more space to my fish room out there. So
there's a question here from Hannah asking, Ted, I'm starting a South American cichlid tank. It's a 40-gallon. Any suggestions for cichlids, not dwarfs though? And she says South and Central Americans. Well, one, I'll tell you, South and Central America are very different places. So I picked one or the other. And then a 40-gallon tank is, it's not very big for cichlids that aren't dwarfs. From the Central American side, I would look at the Cryptoheros types or Amatitlania types, the things like Cryptoheros nanoluteus or Amatitlania nigrofasciatus, convict cichlid types, so they don't get very large. In the South Americans, angelfish can go in a 40. There's a lot of your smaller geophagine types. Apistogramma are dwarf, but they don't get, some of them get pretty good size. I would stay away from the large predatory fish though, and I would stay away from some of the stuff that's going to get really boisterous. Dwarf pike cichlids would do okay in a 40-gallon tank from South America, but you wouldn't be able to keep a whole lot with them, especially if they can fit in their mouth.
So something that I've talked about a little bit in past videos and live streams is that in my future I would love to have a gar, because I really like the platinum gars. I think they're platinum alligator gars if I remember right. And I know Joey has an interesting story about gars, so I want to get to that in a second. But Ted, have you had gars before? Do you have experience with that?
Not the big ones. I mean, an alligator gar gets really big. There are some smaller species, but I'm not sure if they have those in platinum or not. But no, I personally haven't kept gars.
Joey's laughing.
So somebody said Ted Judy is Judge Judy's husband.
Okay, so I used to be a teacher, and I used to be a substitute teacher, and the students would make this joke all the time. So just so you're aware, Judy is her first name. It's my last.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry.
Maybe her last name is Judy too. Maybe she's Judy.
Say again?
Maybe her last name is Judy too. Maybe she's Judy. Did you ever think of that?
That's actually, my mother's name was Judy.
No way.
And got divorced. And my aunt's name is still Judy. But why we're talking about family names, I don't get it.
So my last name is Joey. Joey.
Joey.
So weird.
All right.
Jenny,
So
you said
Joey,
something before we cut you off, or before I cut everybody off there.
recommend I get a gar based on your experience?
Oh. I mean, there's a lot of gar out there, like, so in my opinion, stay away from the alligator gar. I mean, all gars are ambush predator hunters, so they're going to snap at whatever's in the tank, and it doesn't even need to fit in their mouth. They'll make it fit in their mouth, so just be prepared for a fish with a really big set of teeth on it. Not really big teeth, but they'll do some damage if they wanted to. But that alligator gar I had was an absolute beast, and you don't realize how powerful these big fish are till they come smashing through your lids or break your tank or rip apart another fish in your tank. So monster fish and big fish in general are just like a whole new ball game. And it's almost like, I'm sure Ted has a lot of experience with a lot of the more bigger boisterous cichlids. It's almost like you get sick of it eventually. They're beautiful, you enjoy them, but man, do you ever get sick of just coming home to all your fish beat up all the time and they're constantly fighting? It's interesting to see, but I used to keep a lot of big cichlids, and that's what it got to me. It was just became a little tiring to see everything always beat up. So just be careful when you get into those gar. I mean, they do have the potential to do some damage. A lot of them are completely harmless, like big water puppies, but like I said, they're ambush predators. So I mean, if a fish swims by its snout, I mean, it probably will take a good swipe at it. That's for sure.
So speaking about gar, Rachel O'Leary, who I watch her channel too, and I recommend that all of you guys watch it too.
I don't.
Whatever.
I'm kidding.
She has,
She's gonna kill me.
is the gar that she has, is that an alligator gar?
I think it's a tropical gar or a spotted gar or something.
She always talks about it biting her when she tries to clean the tank. But
Yeah, I mean, if you Google some images of gar mouths open, they've just got rows and rows of teeth. Not rows and rows, but they got a tremendous amount of teeth in their mouth. And you just imagine them biting into you. Being an ancient fish too, I mean, they're so they're such a not a sturdy fish, but a fish that can survive almost anything. I mean, the gar can even, breathe air, taking gulps of air. I mean, I put my alligator gar in a bucket outside because I thought it was dead, and it was out there for overnight, and it was frost out. And I mean, it's still flopping around in the bucket the next day. These guys are, bulletproof. So, I mean, if you're going to have a big pond, I mean, ultimately it's a really cool fish to keep, but I think they look best from the side as opposed to above. For above looking fish, you might even want to look into like sturgeon. Sturgeon might do well in your temperate water. So
I'm going to write that down.
yeah, you'll like the look of sturgeon. They're pretty big. They get really big. I know you want to go with an alligator gar. I thought you said they get like that size type of deal. Depending on the species you get, but they do well in a lot of your waters. I mean, I believe they're native to some of those areas down there. So I wanted to keep sturgeon in a pond outside here. If I was gonna, who does that is who does that, Ted? What's his name?
Rusty Wessel.
Yes, he's got the sturgeon in a pond. That's kind of something. As soon as I seen that, I was like, wow, I didn't realize people do that. And
he also has paddlefish.
He's got paddlefish?
Yeah.
It's not sturgeon?
He has both. Yeah,
okay, yeah. So it's pretty incredible to see something like that. And I thought, why can't I have that? And I thought, oh, right, winter. And, I'm not going to be bringing in 6 foot long fish into my, the house somewhere, waiting for the 3 months where it's not frozen outside.
Have you been to Rusty's house, Joey? Have you seen his pond?
No, I've seen, Rachel sent pictures and I've seen videos though.
You should see it. It's his pond could survive your winter because he heats it if he needs to.
Oh yeah.
His entire fish house uses geothermal heating. All the water goes down into the ground 285 feet and comes out at 65 degrees and it comes back up.
I'm not familiar with Rusty. Probably a lot of viewers aren't either. Who is he?
Oh, Rusty Wessel, he's not on YouTube. He's actually a very well-known cichlid aquarist, travels around the world, actually mostly Central America and South America, in Louisville, Kentucky. And he's got a beautiful fish house. If you go on to my website, tedsfishroom.com, somewhere on my site, there's a tour of his fish room. And if you go do a search in YouTube, Rusty Wessel's Fish Room, you're going to find someone who's done a tour of that place. It's really neat.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so if you want to keep a big fish, you might even want to get into koi, Jenny. I mean, that's right up your alley. I'm sure you can find some like 2-3 foot long koi. Have you ever, you've gone to the koi shows. You've seen those.
Well, I worked at a koi farm for.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I
don't like to talk about it a lot because I don't like to give them publicity. It wasn't a very good experience, but yes, I love koi. The thing that always turned me off about them is how much space they need, which I guess, talking about getting an alligator gar, it's not any different. But yeah, I should definitely think about that. I would love to have some really high quality, really big, nice, beautiful fish. No surprise to anyone, I really like the black and white varieties the best. So imagine that. I got a $25 super chat from Gretchen, I think it's called. Says, keep up the good work. It's nice to have women strongly represented in the aquarium hobby. We really need it. Sometimes it is just a big sausage fest up in here, not gonna lie. So
I noticed that a long time ago, and one of the things I wanted to do was, like a couple of years ago, I truly started thinking about it. And it's not because I have a daughter or anything, but I thought, just looking at my analytics and seeing how very little women are in the hobby, and why not try to get more of a balanced hobby here and try to get other women in it. So a while ago, I approached Rachel, and almost put a gun to her head saying, you need to start making videos. Not only are you a credible source of information, but you are a positive female figure for the hobby that I think it really needs. Of course yourself, Jenny, but you were already rolling hard. So,
And Rachel has such a cool look too, with her mohawk and all the different colors. She's so awesome.
Yeah, she's yeah, so, and she's doing really well now with her channel and whatnot, but I definitely, the problem with social media is that a lot of the truly knowledgeable hobbyists that have been in the hobby 20, 30, 40 years, the most credible sources don't embrace social media. And there's nothing we could do about that until they do. However, what's going to happen is, 5, 10 years from now, your learning sources and, your sources of information are going to largely come from people like me. And I can tell you the hobby's not looking good if that's where it's all coming from. So I did want to try to get Rachel into it because I thought she could influence a lot of the other, long-term people in the hobby and the organized side to potentially embrace social media. And I think for the most part, it's definitely working. It's not overwhelmingly working, but it certainly is working. Yeah. Crickets.
Jay and I were actually talking about that before this live stream started. One of the things that I'd like to do, and seeing this interface for the first time, this is the first time I've done a group live stream like this, is I'm thinking about possibly in the next few weeks looking for a new project on my channel, is to start reaching out to some of the people of my age and older that may not be embracing social media, but they might be willing to get on a screen like this and allow themselves to be interviewed and do a live stream. So I'm going to see if I can make that happen.
That's right. I mean, 15 years ago when I got in the hobby, I would discover information through books and magazine subscriptions, and I would be introduced to these hobbyists that you speak of that way. And then, clubs and forums and whatnot. But nowadays with social media, it's such a dominant, has such a dominant presence that when you get into the hobby, you have questions and answers at your fingertips. You have no real need to try to, dig deep into the hobby and do a tremendous amount of research. And unfortunately, because of that, a lot of these extremely valuable people in the hobby are going to be lost to social media if, to make some attempt to, get them into it, or at least bring them some recognition, or make sure they are known at the very least. So, what I've found works for me is, I've done a few room tours and, tried to, feature as many events with people in them as possible. But the side effects of that is people take it into their own hands to Google it and discover these people and discover their work and educate themselves based on that. So got to do something. That's the point. Just anything's better than nothing.
Speaking about social media too, I'm a huge fan of social media, obviously, but I think this Jordan Varner made a really good point too, is that Instagram people, or just any social media people, I suppose, and their constant information, whether correct or incorrect, get a lot of publicity. So social media can be a good or a bad thing for the hobby. It depends on, what kind of information is being shared.
Absolutely.
Are people looking into things before they click share? There's a lot of misinformation that gets repeated, and I'm sure all of us have been guilty of it at some point. It's hard not to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, in 5, 10 years, we're going to be stuck with all people like me, taking a crack at myself. But that's exactly what I mean. I mean, anybody with a camera and the ability to appear confident on camera without somebody there to check them can spew out whatever they want. And it becomes the Bible type of deal to a lot of people really quickly. And what happens is word of mouth, and it spreads like wildfire. People regurgitate what they hear. And, how do you know? How do you know who's who and what's what? How do you know if this is credible information? And the biggest thing is new hobbyists have no clue. No clue. How do you know this person doesn't know what they're talking about? It seems like they do. They're confident. They're, have a great personality. They got some cool looking fish. They must. A lot of the times, that can be, look at their aquariums to see how good of aquarists they are type of deal. But for the most part, I think, we talked about the future of the hobby at the Big Fish deal, and that is something I brought up. And sometimes it's looking good because sometimes people will talk about how it's growing, it's becoming more popular. But then I talk to other people in the industry, and then they say, it might be becoming more popular, but it's not sustainable at this rate. Too many people getting out. The hobby is aging, things like that, and it's not going to come down to one person being able to do it all, but as long as you can do something, I think that's what's most important. And for me, all I try to do is get as many people in the hobby and keep them there as long as possible. And the longer they're in it, the higher chance and probability that they're going to discover correct information and help spread that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Well, thank you.
Trying to read the comments here. Someone's asking if Ted has Instagram, which I don't even know. Do you have?
I do, but I just got started on Instagram. It's actually my Instagram account is Ted's Fish. And
I'm sorry,
don't actually. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't post a lot of fish stuff on there.
You cut out saying what it was called.
It's Ted's Fish Room. The Instagram is Ted's Fish Room.
Okay.
I will follow you, Ted.
Just getting started on it. I'm one of those guys that I like social media, but I won't say that I've embraced it entirely. Up until a couple of weeks ago, I was on YouTube and Facebook, but here lately I'm starting to get involved with Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, a few other places as well.
For me, social media is awesome, but I'm the kind of person where for my sanity, I need to unplug at least for a good portion of every day. So I look at it here and there, but I don't get the notifications on my phone every time there's a new like or something like that. I just can't. I need some space, some distance from it sometimes, because it can really consume you. And everybody talks about this all the time, but everybody curates what they show you on their social media platforms. So even I do, what I show you isn't necessarily 100% all of my life. I'm showing you certain snippets of it that I think are shareable or that you'll want to see. And everybody does that, and it's so easy to get to feel down when you look at other people's social media accounts and think, oh my God, their life is so perfect. So I think it's good to have a healthy amount of distance.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, Jenny and Joey, I'm going to need to take off. I have a son behind me who is hammering for food. So this has been great. Thank you for getting it organized, Jenny. Thank you to everybody who was watching tonight, and especially thank you to everybody who donated to Jenny's project.
Yes, thank you so much.
We are very happy at Custom Aquariums to be helping Jenny out with this. We look forward to making it a reality. And Joey, thank you also for letting us be a part of your program as well, your project. My pleasure.
Thank you, Ted, for agreeing to stick on this live stream from start to finish for me. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Custom Aquariums, and everyone who has donated. Thanks, Joey. You mentioned you had a bit of a rough day, so I appreciate you being here anyways to help support. I think I'm going to hang out for another few minutes just to see if I can answer some questions now that I'll be able to focus on them a little bit better.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks, Jenny, for having me. See you later.
Yep, see ya. All right, let's see if I can answer a few questions for just a few minutes here before I gotta go. You guys can see Grim behind me here. Hey, Grim. All right. Someone's asking, what is a good base, such as gravel, sand, or nothing? A lot of times, nothing honestly is what's best for the fish, but it depends on what your goals are for the aquarium, what kind of fish you're keeping. If you want a planted tank, sometimes you need a substrate to root the plants and things like that. But if you're just keeping, say for example, goldfish, obviously, or something that's going to be a large statement fish, something that produces a lot of waste, a lot of times a bare bottom tank is best. But if you're going to use a substrate, I would recommend sand. It stays a lot more clean than gravel. Gravel tends to have spaces in between it that can trap uneaten food and fish poop a lot more easily than sand. Anyone made fun of you for your fish hobby? The Fishy Rules wants to know. Not really. I think, you know, people face to face at least aren't usually rude enough to like actually start making fun of you, but hopefully not. But sometimes people just don't get it, you know, especially when I say goldfish, they're like, what? Like carnival fish? You know, they just don't get it. But you can try to show them, you know, here's a picture of it. It's actually way cooler than what you think. But if they still don't get it, just move on. It's not worth your time. What else? Mike says, I definitely need to get a koi pond. I really want to. I really do. I don't know how feasible that's going to be, but especially with everything else going on right now, but I really want to. Definitely will someday. Which is your favorite cat? Tiny Hamster wants to know. Well, I don't know. I'd like to say that I don't play favorites, but that would kind of be a lie. Grim, he's like I call him sometimes my four-legged shadow, because literally he follows me around every single place that I go. If I decide I'm done at my computer and I'm going to go into the kitchen or the living room, he follows me. And to the point where it's annoying sometimes, honestly, because I'll be trying to edit a video and he's sitting right in front of me between myself and the keyboard, and yeah, but he's a mama's boy, I'll say that. And the other cats, I love all of my cats to death. They're like my children, but Grim is definitely the most attached to me in that way. Dylan wants to know, what other fish do you want besides goldfish? Right now, I also have a betta. I have discus. Gosh, is that all the other fish I have? I think it is. But I want other fish other than that too. I want to get some more different kinds of discus too, like the different color varieties. I would also love to get some, I don't think I've said this before, I want to get some angelfish. So that might be new information to some people, but I think angelfish are beautiful. Like there's so many different color morphs and fin structures with them, kind of like with goldfish. They're just beautiful. I also think there's some, I think German blue rams are cool. I don't know much about them, but I think they're really pretty. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but I haven't done my research yet to know for sure what I want. Laura wants to know, I just got new goldfish and they're terrified of me. How do I fix this? I actually made a video about that, but it's a few years old now. The information in it is still good, but it's older, so the production value isn't as good. But basically, you just give them time and patience. You can help things move along by spending some time near the aquarium, maybe pull up a chair, read a book, just sitting by the aquarium so they get used to your presence being there and they don't associate it with a threat anymore. Also, the longer you feed them, the more they're going to associate you or your presence, you walking by the tank with food, and probably before too long they're going to be begging for food from you every time you walk by or even look at the tank. Like even my discus, they used to be terrified of me when they first got here, and I thought they would never settle in, honestly, but now they're actually really familiar with me and they have started to associate me with food and feeding time. So all I have to do is like peek out the door of my office, and then their tank is like straight ahead and they can see me and they come swimming over and start begging for food. It's pretty fun. Are you thinking of getting reptiles? I know you have some. Gianna wants to know. I don't think I'll get any more reptiles. I don't know. I might in the future. I'm pretty happy right now just with my 2 leopard geckos that I have. Not really planning on adding any in the future, but if I did, maybe a crested gecko. I always thought those were kind of fun. Also like day geckos. They're not like a pet that you can hold or really play with much, but they're beautiful little geckos and they look really nice in like a planted vivarium. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce this. The Gbikil has given a $25 super chat, so thank you. Where did you, Tesca Mary wants to know, where did you get the driftwood that's in your beta aquarium, or betta aquarium, sorry. That I got from a local chain pet store, and it was sold as, oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's like grapewood or grapevine or something. It's not meant to be used in aquariums, but you can. But the thing with that is it will get that white fuzzy fungusy growths on it from time to time, especially when you first put it in the water. And it might float at first, so you have to soak it for a while before it sinks. but usually the white fungusy growth that it does go away over time. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this live stream. I had a blast, and I really hope you guys did too. Let me know if you want to see more live streams like this in the future, because, I mean, I thought it was fun, so I'd love to do it again. All right, thanks for popping in, everyone. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And until then, you know what to do. Stay gold.